Right, I've come out for a bit of a stroll around today. Just making my way through this dense pine. Just seeing if I can see any wildlife or anything interesting I can show you. And you can see this is the kind of trail you need to be following in game. So you can see it's a real nice place I've found out here, just for a quick 5-minute chat. And basically I thought we could have a quick discussion about, someone mentioned playing in pairs or playing solo and what the difference is. And I touched on this the other day, where basically when you're playing by yourself you can be a complete opportunist. You can chop and change your plans, you can double back, you can do all these things easily without any problems or extra movement from communicating with teammates or fear of friendly fire. But when you're working with another player, especially depending on your spacing, if you decide, actually looks like it's going to be too dense through here. I mean, look at this. Look at it through here. It's going to be too dense. So I'm going to do a 180. But you know that one of your players he's not following you. He's working on your flank. Well, you're going to have problems unless you're using a radio. And even if you do use a radio, meeting up with the other player without it taking quite a bit of time. You know, it's interesting, there's like a rock face down there. So you can see these backwaters, the edges of sight and the steep parts of the terrain. This is where you can actually move through and feel there's a lot less chance you're going to encounter other players, because these places they're awful. They're a nightmare to get through. There's no clear paths. You're having to just work your way through. You know, there's hazards. Some parts you're having to crawl under. All these things put all the other players off. None of the other players want to come through here. They'll venture in here once and soon realise, yeah, this isn't for me. So these are the areas you can utilise in a game, be you sing, you know, by yourself, playing solo, or be you in a pair, that you can move through. And this is what you're looking for. Look at these deer trails. So you can move through easily in these places as long as you stick to the game paths, because the animals are making their way through these areas daily and nightly, keeping them clear. Although often you'll find the trails themselves are smaller than a human, and you either have to crawl or just circumnavigate certain parts. But once you're working in a pair, you know, I'd constantly be looking back, signaling my other man up. It's all a distraction for me. It's all movement. It's all twice as much movement, twice as much noise, extra movements on comms, extra noise, communicating, and all these things work against you. So as I mentioned the other day, you've got to really make it pay if there's two of you or more. Look, we'll just work our way through here. So when you're working as a pair, if one of you is just the point man and the other guy is working single file and following you up, then you've got no width. The problem with that kind of formation is it's the front man who's going to encounter most stuff, and he's going to be the guy who calls the shots and maybe makes the shots or gets shot at, and it means your second man's pretty redundant. So the main reason you'd move single file through these areas is it leaves a lot less sign that two of you have passed. There's a lot less noise because one of you's clearing the route or choosing the route, and obviously one guy's further back anyway, so his noise is lesser and his movement's probably out of line of sight to any relevant contacts. So as you're moving through single file, that's just to get into position. It's not really the formation you'd use in an aggressive encounter or movements contact. It's more for patrol work and trying to infiltrate certain areas. So you get very good at working single file as a team, where you're all reasonably close together and just follow the same route, and you use that technique to actually get behind the other team. Once you're behind them, you change tactics and you generally either split up or fan out. So basically, as that lone player, the best odds you're going to get are you against another lone player. Whereas once you move further on and you're up against a team of people, pairs or more, the game changes when you're by yourself. The enemy can triangulate your position with impunity because you don't have a teammate to hinder that or to confuse them. So if you're not careful, you're playing solo, they'll start to work out the area you're in and come at you from different angles. Now again, the beauty of that is that any noise or movement around you isn't a teammate, so you can use that to your advantage. This is the other problem with working in pairs or with other players, is that basically you'll hear noises, you'll maybe even see things moving, and your finger will be on the trigger and you'll be wondering, is that a bad guy? Is that friendly? And obviously you'll be stuck at that point. You'll be stuck wondering to wait, pause, listen, use comms. All of those things you don't really want to do. So therefore, to be the best pair and the most effective, there's a couple of deer couches here. I'm just looking to see if there's any hairs or anything like that. So yeah, to be the best pair, you basically that used to playing with each other after a while. There's actually very little need for hand signals. You both become experienced at judging what the other player's going to do in that situation. You see somebody sort of get down and tuck in a little bit to the side, you'll already start to realise, yeah, I think there's someone coming, and he's getting ready, and I need to do likewise. So without him having to signal that the opponents are there. He's already giving you sort of indirect signals as to what is coming next. So I've had many spotters over the years that I've played with for considerable lengths of time. You know, they've all come and gone separate ways. Some of them have just become lone players in their own right. You know, our team itself has disbanded and we now play against each other basically. But a lot of them players, I can kind of guess what they're going to do in some of the situations. You know, even as opponents, because I've spent that long playing alongside them. It starts to fill out your guesswork of and prediction of what your teammates or opponents, if they end up being, what they're most likely to be thinking in these situations. Some people will have an MO where you know they're going to be moving. You know they're going to be. It's really nice down here. You know they're going to be thinking of flanking or pursuing, or they're aggressive players, whereas some, you know, are far more likely to be crawling and go to ground. So you'll find certain players have certain traits, and that's what you're looking for in a teammate. Someone who has similar traits to you. Yeah, you don't need that in a team, but it helps if you're both sort of working on the same page most of the time, naturally anyway. So obviously part of it's how you react to things in the field. It's hand signals, spotting other players, working off sounds, information that's passed to you via radio, all these things. But you set off with an initial game plan, obviously. Like I say, the most successful spotters I've worked alongside, I found were my equals, as in they weren't really spotters. You know, they were snipers. They were capable and respected players in their own right, and at any point either of those in the pair could make the call. You know, either of us could signal we're bugging out, and no questions would be asked. Their judgment was taken as being the right thing to do with the intelligence that they maybe had that you didn't. So so you're looking for someone who's got a similar vision of how to play, hopefully similar abilities, you know, both technical and mental, and I guess physical as well. And basically you're looking for players who are naturally inclined to hold the fire. Now this is the thing, you'll meet many players who are snipers, or, you know, kind of profess that gaming, but when the chips are down, first contact happens, you realise straight away that they're not playing a stealthy game. You know, they're basically opening fire as soon as there's a target presented. They've got less patience than maybe they could benefit from, and they're still learning some of the lessons you've maybe already learned yourself. So you need someone who, when the enemy are walking 20 metres away and they're going to pass you, you need someone who isn't going to pull the trigger. You know, I mean, there's times, yeah, there'll be misunderstandings, you'll shoot thinking that you were saving your partner, or you will compromise when maybe you weren't. You know, that's inevitable, but you're looking for people who are realising the bigger picture is that you both let them pass, and what you're going to do after that event will be more productive than getting into just a straight up ambush, or you know, even a hit and run kind of attack on a larger force. It might often just be better just to not engage, you know, to trail that force and call in their movements via radio, and then once there is a contact from your assault team, you're in the perfect place to maybe exploit that. So formulating plans during the game, adapting, using all the information that comes to you, you know, these are all key things as to working solo or as a pair. But if you're working solo, you know, you can be more productive in a way. You can move quicker, as in, if you're fit and most other players can't keep up with you, if you're working solo, well, you're just going to cover more ground, aren't you? You're going to do the flank quicker. You know, depending what the objective of that part of the game is, it might often be far more resourceful to use one man. So, you know, I mean, a fine example of it is I remember as a team of snipers at the end of one event, we moved along, realised there was 15 minutes left of the game, and realised if we could recover this heavy rocket from the enemy camp, that we could win the game if we got it back to ours. But it was a long way. We gambled, we realised the other team had probably abandoned the objectives, thinking it was too late for anyone to capture them and get them back. So as we moved across the land, we strung our men out, leaving one every 200 metres. Basically, as I came to the final objective, finally had abandoned it, grabbed the rocket, when he had a pistol on me, dumped everything else, ran back the 200 metres exhausted, gives the rocket to the next man. He took the next 200 metres, gave it to the next man, to the next 200 metres, and then the final man got it back to camp in 15 minutes. Something that wouldn't have been possible with one man running the distance. So use your teamwork, use your allies to fan out. The wider you are apart in a lot of areas, the more ground you can cover and the more damage you can do, the more intelligence you can gather. But a lot of times it's a very you know, dense areas and stuff like that. It's very hard to work at range without becoming confusing and counterproductive, and then you'll be more playing toe to toe with people literally 5 metres apart. You can see in here it's super dense. So, you know, there'll be times where you're working toe to toe, times you'll be working maybe even 100 yards apart as you circumnavigate a field around either tree line. But that's the beauty of a good team. They're able to split up and perform as single players, and then meet up, rendezvous, meet up, and get the force multiplication of being together for certain aspects of the game, be that assaults or defending areas where you know there's going to be strong enemy presence. So you don't have to, although you set off as a pair, doesn't mean you have to come back in the end of the game together. You'll adapt, split up, meet up, hit and fade. It's all these things like Indians would do, I suppose. You know, hide the numbers, and times you single file, at times you work in line abreast or other formations, or just completely alone. Anyway, don't know if that'll help you. It's a bit vague. We'll maybe look at some previous game videos I've got and do some voiceovers of them to discuss how and why certain aspects of gaming are what we do or how we approach things. So maybe see you then. Thanks for watching, stay safe, good hunting.